At least 21 dead after heavy rain on Saturday triggers floods and landslides in Kerala. Relief and rescue operations underway. Terrorists target more civilians in Kashmir. 2 Bihar labourers shot by terrorists on Sunday, a day after a Golgappa hawker from Bihar and a carpenter from UP are shot dead. The 11th such killings of civilians in the past 2 weeks. Petrol costs 33% more than aviation fuel after the latest price hike. Petrol costing 111 rupees a litre in Mumbai, 105 a litre in Delhi. Navjot Sidhu writes to Sonia Gandhi, highlighting urgent steps that the Congress government must take in Punjab, seeks a meeting with her, asks for more inductions in the cabinet. And India's financial capital, one of the worst affected cities in the pandemic, Mumbai reports no COVID deaths for the first time since the beginning of the pandemic. And 3 people, including a teenager, injured after a speeding car drives into a crowd amidst a Durga Puja Visarjan in Bhopal. Our top story, despair flooded Kerala a day after heavy rains, where at least 21 people have been killed in the state as heavy rain triggered off landslides in Idukki and Kottayam districts. Rescue operations are still underway. Devotees have been asked to avoid visiting the Sabrimala temple today and tomorrow, that's Sunday and Monday.
Massive search and rescue operations underway in landslide-affected areas of Kottayam and Idukki. After over 30 hours since the landslide and heavy flooding that swept away several houses, at least 21 bodies have been recovered from Kerala's 2 districts. Search operations continue. Families swept away in seconds. Bodies of 3 children under the age of 8 recovered in Idukki were found hugging each other, perhaps just an indicator of the trauma that many have gone through. The worst affected area in Kottayam, where a family including 5 children was swept away, has never seen landslides before, according to officials. The flooding too was unexpected according to locals, with no IMD red alert even the previous evening. Survivors are still in shock.
റോഡിൽ നടന്നു വരികയായിരുന്നു. നടന്നു വന്നപ്പോൾ തൊട്ടടുത്ത് മുകളിൽ നിന്ന് മരങ്ങളൊക്കെ കടന്ന് വരികയും ഭയങ്കരമായിട്ട് അവരുടെ വീടിൻ്റെ മുകളിലോട്ട് മണ്ണിടിഞ്ഞ് വീഴുകയും വീട് നിന്ന് ഒലിച്ചു പോവുകയും ചെയ്യുന്നു. കുട്ടികളുടെ സ്കൂളിലെ സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് ഉൾപ്പെടെ എല്ലാം നശിച്ചിരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഇനി സർക്കാർ ഇവർക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും കനിഞ്ഞു നൽകിയാലേ ഇവരുടെ ജീവിതം മുമ്പോട്ട് പോകത്തുള്ളൂ. നാശം ഭയങ്കരമാണ്. ഇവിടെ മാത്രമല്ല, ഈ പ്രദേശത്തെ എല്ലാ വീടുകളും വെള്ളപ്പൊക്കത്തിൽ നശിക്കുകയും ഒരുപാട് നാശനഷ്ടങ്ങളാണ് ചെയ്തത്. അപ്രതീക്ഷിതമായി ഉണ്ടായ ഒരു സംഭവമായിരുന്നു.
Army, NDRF, Fire Force teams continue their rescue efforts with key state ministers and the opposition leader on the ground.
രാവിലെ ഇന്നിവിടെ മന്ത്രിമാരുടെ യോഗം ഇവിടെ ചേർന്നിരുന്നു. ആ ചേർന്ന് ഞങ്ങൾ എടുത്ത തീരുമാനം ഇപ്പോൾ 4 ലക്ഷം രൂപ വെച്ച് മരിച്ച വീടുകൾക്ക് ധനസഹായം എത്തിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞു. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അവരുടെ ശവസംസ്കാര ചടങ്ങുകൾക്കുള്ള എല്ലാ സഹായവും ചെയ്യുന്നു.
The Prime Minister too called Kerala Chief Minister, assuring him all help from the centre. Sneha Koshi for NDTV.
And 2 labourers from Bihar were gunned down by terrorists on Sunday, taking the number of civilians killed in targeted attacks in Jammu and Kashmir this month to 11. Terrorists opened fire at the labourers at Vanpo in Kulgam district on Sunday. Another labourer was injured in the incident. The killings come a day after a Golgappa hawker from Bihar and a carpenter from UP were shot dead by terrorists in the valley.
2 non-local labourers shot dead in indiscriminate firing by terrorists in Vanpo area of Kulgam. After targeted attacks on civilians, now it's non-local workers in Srinagar who seem to be the target. Last evening's killing of a Golgappa seller from Bihar, Arvind Kumar, and UP carpenter Sagir Ahmed by terrorists has shaken the non-local workers here. Suresh has been selling peanuts in Srinagar for the past 15 years, supporting his family of 5 in UP. Now he's worried. Leaving Srinagar means losing his livelihood, but staying here seems risky. Already 5 other peanut sellers here have left, he says.
कहाँ जाए थे, यहाँ हो गए 15-16 साल काम करते करते, इनमें बाल बच्चे है सब खर्चा चला रहे हैं, क्या करें वालों को कभी भी ऐसा कभी नहीं देखा, बाकी तो ये चलती रहती थी मगर ऐसी हमने आज तक कोई हमने नहीं देखा है.
In Saharanpur district of UP, Sagir Ahmed's family is in shock. They say his earnings as a carpenter in Kashmir had provided a steady income for them all.
कोई और सहारा है परिवार में?
नहीं, कोई सहारा नहीं. हमारा भाई एक अकेला ही, हम 4 बहन है बस.
तो दूसरों ने बताया कि ये जो है बर्तन धो रहे थे तो किवाड़ खुले हुए थे कमरे के, तो गोली 2 लगी नहीं गई, या हमने सोचा कि करंट लग गया इसके, तो हमने जो पलटा जो करा तो खून निकल रहा था.
30-year-old Arvind Kumar was shot dead while selling Golgappas at Eidgah in Srinagar. He is the second Golgappa seller from Bihar killed in 2 weeks in Srinagar.
वही कमा का भेजता है, हम लोग खाते पीते हैं सर, और कुछ नहीं है.
अच्छा,
और क्या कहेंगे?
In the last 2 weeks, 11 civilians have been killed in targeted attacks. 4 of them Hindus, 4 Muslims and 1 Sikh. Police say 32 civilians have been killed this year. Last evening's attacks took place hours after the police said they have killed 13 local terrorists, some of them involved in the recent civilian killings.
Attacks on innocent civilians continue unabated in Kashmir. Official sources say targeted attacks are aimed at driving non-locals out. While there are multiple theories why these attacks are taking place, it clearly shows failure of law enforcement agencies. And it is the innocent laborers who bear the brunt. In Srinagar, Nazir Masoodi for NDTV.
And the body of a pilot who went missing after a helicopter crash near Punjab's Pathankot district on the 3rd of August was found on Sunday. Captain Jayant Joshi was the second pilot of the army helicopter which crashed into the Ranjit Sagar Dam. The 75-day-long search by the army and navy concluded after the body was retrieved from the lake bed. 12 days after the fatal crash of the helicopter in the expansive lake, the remains of another pilot on board, Lieutenant Colonel A.S. Bhatt, was recovered on the 15th of August. The Rudra helicopter belonged to the Army's aviation wing. It had crashed into the lake when it was carrying out a training sortie. A multi-agency team was carrying out the search and rescue operations. And the best story of the day, Mumbai has not recorded any COVID deaths in the last 24 hours, and this is for the first time since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic last year. India's financial capital, one of the worst affected cities in the pandemic, logged 367 cases of the infection on Sunday. The positivity rate has dipped to 1.27% in the metropolis, which now has 5,030 active cases. The city's recovery rate stands at 97%. And Punjab Congress leader Navjot Singh Sidhu, days after reaching a truce of sorts with the Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi, has now drawn up a 13-point agenda on governance, suggestions that have been sent in a letter to the Congress President Sonia Gandhi. He's also asked Mrs. Gandhi that the party direct the state government to act on those lines as a, quote, last damage control measure, a request that might reopen his rift with the Chief Minister.
Another salvo from Navjot Singh Sidhu, hours after meeting Rahul Gandhi and claiming all is well, a letter to party president Sonia Gandhi expressing his reservation over the functioning of government under the leadership of Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi. Despite the Congress president specifically asking leaders not to approach the media for any communication with her, Sidhu shared his letter addressed to Sonia Gandhi on Twitter, presenting a 13-point Punjab model. Sacrilege incidents, drug abuse and mining mafia need to be curbed. Induction of more SC leaders in cabinet and audience with Sonia Gandhi. Sidhu's repeated attacks on his own government clearly indicate that all is not well within the state unit despite the party high command's attempts to pacify him and the party's attempts to play down the dissent.
पीसीसी अपने जो सेंट्रल लीडरशिप को अवगत कराता है कि ये इश्यूज हैं, इसके बारे में चर्चा करनी है। और जैसा कल सोनिया जी ने अपने सीडब्ल्यूसी के अभिभाषण में भी बोला कि शी बिलीव्स इन फ्रैंकनेस। देखिए, बगावत, नाराजगी, ये सब मीडिया के शब्द हैं।
Meanwhile, Aam Aadmi Party questions the timing of Sidhu's latest outburst.
ਮੈਂ ਨਵਜੋਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਉਸ ਕਾਂਗਰਸ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੀ ਐਮਐਲਏ ਹੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਿਛਲੇ 4.5 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਚਲਾ ਰਿਹਾ 4.5 ਸਾਲ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਚੁੱਪ ਕਰਕੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਹੁਣ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਜਾਣ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੁਬਾਰਾ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਪੈਣ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਹੁਣ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਯਾਦ ਆ ਗਏ
Later in the evening, in an attempted damage control exercise, CM Channi and Navjot Sidhu met after a long time in the presence of party observer Harish Chaudhary. Months away from the polls, frequent outbursts from Navjot Sidhu will do more harm than good for the Punjab Congress, which is hoping to retain power by appointing a CM from SC community. Will Chief Minister Channi be able to strike a chord with Navjot Sidhu, which will set the future of Congress ahead of Punjab polls? With Mohammad Ghazali, Joshua Chin for NDTV.
We're going to go in for a short break. After that, a tragic story of twins studying in class 9 dying in a horrific death allegedly from falling from a balcony. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now some tragic news. Twins studying in class 9 in Ghaziabad died early on Sunday after allegedly falling from a balcony on the 25th floor of a high-rise. Two family members, a mother and the sister of these 14-year-old twins, were present in the house at the time of the incident, which is said to have occurred around 1 a.m. The police are probing the deaths and an autopsy report is awaited. According to authorities, the children's father was away in Mumbai on a work-related tour and he hails from Chennai. And former India cricketer Yuvraj Singh was arrested and released on interim bail on Saturday. An activist in Hisar had filed a complaint over a caste slur against Yuzvendra Chahal during an Instagram live session. The former cricketer's lawyers argue that there was no intention to promote hatred or ill will against members of scheduled caste or the scheduled tribes. A few days ago, the court had directed authorities to release Yuvraj Singh on interim bail if he is arrested. We're going to go in for a short break. After that, in the tech news, Apple Watch Series 7 is finally here.